Yo, welcome back to the channel. Tomorrow we're gonna attempt to take our $1,000 Jeep Cherokee on a 2,000-mile road trip. 5 days ago this thing didn't have an engine in it, and I've been daily driving it since. Seems to be fine. It's not giving any issues, so we're gonna run with it. Pretty much packed as far as tools and parts. I stole some stuff off this old girl, like the throttle body. That way I'd have all the sensors in case any of that goes wrong. Got a crank position sensor I already had as a spare, and I stole the grill, just so it looks a little bit better going down the road. Now, another thing I did, in the last video I showed you the exhaust that I kind of threw together. So I bought the old $20 muffler off Rock Auto, threw it in here. Seems pretty solid. Put a clamp, a little coupler, and it's pretty quiet, good enough for the road trip. No cruise control, that should be fun. I'm gonna try and keep track of fuel mileage. I'm curious what a stock XJ will do. And we're gonna be leaving pretty early in the morning. I'll probably put some miles down and then I'll check back with you then. Let's hit the road. So far so good. It's our second fuel stop. Did about 460 miles so far, and let's see what kind of mileage we're getting. Whoa, 18 miles a gallon.
That's what I said.
That is what you said. That's all highway. We're gonna keep going, but we're getting off the highway now. We're gonna do some back roads and such. Parts store. We're having a little bit of an issue with the oil pressure gauge sensor. The gauge was kind of acting funny. It was being sporadic. It would show normal oil pressure, then it would drop all the way to 0, and then it would come back up and just keep dancing around. I don't feel like it's an actual oil pressure problem. I think it's something with the sending unit. The sending unit's down here with the clip. It just screws into the side of the block. So I'm just gonna go get a new one of these. We'll swap it out later, see if that helps. Got the part here, and I didn't even know they made this, but it's a special socket just for them sensors. So I'm gonna throw it on here quick, since it won't be too bad. I'll unplug it. Well, that don't fit. Hold on. One little turn at a time, I guess. There's our old one. I mean, looks fine, I guess. There's a new one. Got some thread tape on there. Oh, that's nice. That ought to do it. Plug it in. We'll get on down the road, see if that helped. All right. Let's see what happens. Shit. Oh, well, that looks normal so far. We'll keep an eye on it, because sometimes it would work, sometimes it wouldn't. See what happens. So that was about a 2-hour drive, and I think we fixed our issue with the oil pressure sensor, because it seems to be working as it should. Oh, this is exciting for us northern folk. Getting topped up on fuel. Got me one of these. I'm gonna put it right about there. The updated fuel mileage, a little less. Oh, your reflection's right in there. We're still getting 18, and it was a lot less highway miles. About 300 more miles to go. Let's keep on rolling. You wanna drive?
No.
You wanna drive?
No.
Okay. Well, we made it here to Sweet Home, Alabama. We did about 900 miles in one day, and we got about 19 miles per gallon, which is pretty good. But we have a few things to do now that we're here. So, for one, we're gonna change the oil real quick. And I also got one of the lab kits. That way we can check on the health of this engine that we just put in. We also need to re-torque our suspension components. Since it's been about 1,000 miles and we just installed these leaf springs, we're gonna re-torque the springs and the U-bolts, make sure they're good to go. Now let me show you a couple things that I packed on such a long trip with an XJ. This is the only box I brought along with my tools. Extra belt, excuse the birds. Fuses. And then, like I said, I pulled the whole throttle body off my other XJ just so I have all these different sensors. And if we had any issues, we could have just swapped this on. And then the only other thing I brought was a crank position sensor. And I didn't need to use any of it, which is good. Just had that one hiccup with the oil pressure sensor. And honestly, we didn't really need to stop for that. It was just good peace of mind to know what the actual oil pressure was coming down this far of a trip. But even though that old sensor was on that other engine that we pulled out, I'm still confident that that engine didn't have any oil pressure since we hooked up the oil pressure test gauge, and it only had 2 psi at idle on the manual gauge. So I'm still glad we swapped the engine. Running around the block before the oil change, that way, you know, the oil gets circulated nice and warm. And the Jeep's been sitting a week already. We've already been here for a week. We're heading back north tomorrow. And man, that headliner looks terrible. So we're just cruising around the Alabama countryside. Looks like we're already up to temp, so I'm good to head back. All right, nice and hot. Let's get that old oil out of there. Let her fly. Looks pretty dark. Be all right. We'll let that do its thing. Go ahead and capture our sample real quick. Let's see about getting that filter off. Got her buttoned up underneath. Now I brought 6 quarts just to make it easy. And that way I can also mix in some sea foam to the 2-quart jug. Just keeps everything clean and you don't have to add too much of it. We're using a T5 Rotella 10W30 and a Wix XP filter. Filters in there, add our 6 quarts. Whoa. All good to go here. Should be good under the hood. Now let's come back here and get these suspension parts retorqued. Well, never mind. I don't have a bolt, or I don't have a socket big enough to fit on that bolt. So honestly, I'm not even that worried about it anyway, retorquing those. But I will check it again when we get back to the shop. But that should be about all the prep work we need to do before we head back 900 miles north tomorrow. So I will check back in somewhere along the trail. Well, this is what we woke up to. We're about halfway home. The girls are inside getting breakfast. Check some things out here. We overheated a little bit coming out of Chattanooga, climbing the hills, and that just looks nasty. So I think we definitely need a radiator flush when we get home. I think we'll be all right. We'll keep an eye on the temperature. Check the oil quick. Looks good. Still getting about 18 miles per gallon. Woo. So we get this thing warmed up and we'll get on our way, see how the roads look. Rolling out. Acceleration test. I don't think the roads are too bad. They look wet, but could be icy, especially this part. Well, we made it back, and this is what we woke up to. There was no snow when we got home, so we just missed it. We're gonna run down to the shop, and we will debrief. We'll cut down through the north field here. Thing did great. Just shy of 2,000 miles round trip, plus an oil change in the middle. About 19 miles per gallon, much more than I thought it would be. Climb. Back at the shop, we made it officially. Home sweet home. How's everybody doing? Wow. All right. Now, obviously we need to get this thing cleaned up before it comes back in the shop. But the plan is, once it's cleaned up, we still have some stuff to do to it. Like I want to put on the trim on the side and just make it as stock as I can. Replace the corner pieces on the bumper. Hopefully, if I can find one, a gold grill. I need to flush that radiator. You guys saw how brown and nasty it was. There's some kind of cooling issue. I think the thermostat's stuck open because we didn't have any heat on the way home, and that sucked. That's all minor stuff. It doesn't need to be in the shop anymore. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna get this Jeep back together. We're actually expecting more snow tomorrow. So I'm gonna get my other XJ back together, take on daily driver responsibilities. We'll take that one home too. And then the C10 will go up in the main bay and we'll get working on that. We're gonna pull the bed, pull a lot of stuff actually, pull the motor, start working on this thing. It's not gonna be going out anytime soon. The oil lab results, they're not back yet. I actually just sent them out, not gonna lie. But I'll either put them on Instagram or on YouTube or in the next video or something. Keep an eye out for that. But that's gonna wrap it up for this one, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Take it easy, and I'll see you in the next one. Oh yeah. Ooh, fire.